Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers, the PlayStation Flashbang. This is a PS5 for the uninitiated, and we're doing a HDMI port replacement on it. Now this one, the port doesn't look damaged, but the customer is saying that, you know, they're having issues with picture lock and stuff like that. All the descriptions of a bad HDMI port. This one, we think, I think they said it had been done before, but they said apparently that the shop looked kind of sketchy and stuff like that. And, you know, I can tell that it's been apart because we've got a gap in the body here. It hasn't closed properly. And so maybe this port is either crap or not soldered on properly. I don't know. Let's open it up and have a look. So, now, I'm a little bit scared of doing consoles on camera because people get judgy about it. There's also a couple of new techniques that I want to start experimenting with for soldering HDMI ports. Paul Daniels recently published a couple of videos about his hot air bidet method, and I really like the look of that. I think it's a rad idea, and I'm going to be trying it, but not in this one. So. Just in advance, I already know that's a thing. I'm going to try it, I just don't have the parts yet. Awesome. Good start, good start. The side panel doesn't want to come off. Awesome. So, funny story. I was taking off the side panel, it came off suddenly and tapped the spacebar on my keyboard that's in front of the desk, which stopped the recording. So, yeah. So I've taken off the side panels, I've taken off the first panel, and one of the things that I noticed was there's a whole bunch of screws that are just missing or in the wrong place on this PlayStation, which doesn't bode well for the quality of the previous work done. So yeah, all the silver screws around here, except for one of them, are in position, so that's not so bad. But yeah, a bunch of the chassis screws were just completely wrong or missing. So yeah, we're kind of going into this with trepidation as to what we'll actually find. Right, I'm gonna go fast while I take out the rest of these screws. Pro tip, I've just wrapped the shaft on this screwdriver with some grip tape, also known as stick tape. This is the kind of stuff that you wrap like a hockey stick in for better grip on the handle. And I've just put some around the shaft here because one of the annoying things about all these screws is they're plastic screws, so they're really tough to undo. So you need a big wide handle to loosen them off. But then once you've loosened them, a big handle like this is really slow to undo. So by having some grip tape on the shaft, I can now break the screw and then go fast on the handle. And it just makes taking out annoying screws like this so much easier. Oh, who did this to you? Ow. Alright, worst bit out the way. Now we can just pop this cover off, which isn't going to put up much of a fight because it's been off before. Oh, that had the wrong screwdriver on it. Oh my god. And y'all give me for my soldering sometimes. God, what were they using? A welder? Alright, let's keep going. Oh, didn't take off the back screws. Genius. Please don't fall out. Should have done these ones earlier. Oh, it's falling out. Okay. Ugh. Ah. What are the chances that the liquid metal is in position on this? In before cheap Chinese thermal paste. Oh, okay, yeah. Jesus wept. Okay, so the LM, the liquid metal was in place, but what the darn? What the actual darn? How was this ever functional? Okay, so don't get me wrong. When I first started learning HDMI port replacement, I completely butchered a PS4. I've actually still got it in the back room. There's a video that I really want to make where I pull that PS4 out, put it on the bench, and I see if I can fix it with my modern skill level. It's got torn traces on it and everything. It's a bloodbath. But when I butchered that board, I tell you what I did. I bought the customer a new PS4. Well, not a brand new one, but I replaced that motherboard. I was like, yeah, this is no bueno, you know. Okay. Let's reposition everything and see what we can do about this. What do they use? Plumber's solder? Serious question. Okay, so before we get started, I want to just run my soldering iron across this mess and just see what picks up off of it, and just I don't know what I'm expecting. I'm just curious as to if I can just pick up a lot of sludge off of this and clean up before I start throwing hot air onto it. So just to see what happens, call it morbid curiosity. Here we go. Want a ground plane here, so I might need a little bit of hot air to give myself some help. I'm using the Aixon T3B, but the T3A is a bit more appropriate for consoles because it's got a bit more grunt behind it. God, I'm hoping that there's no IC trapped under here. Yeah, no. I think we'd need the desoldering gun for that. I think it's just some really grot flux. Yeah, no, let's take it all off. Let's take it all off. Not messing around with that. Alright, let's go. Where's my big nozzle? I'm going to go with the big nozzle, I think. I can't see my nozzles. Ah. Oh, I was already on the big nozzle. I see. Oh, there we go. It didn't take a lot to get that guy off. I think those joins were so dry that it didn't really matter. Okay, it is about a week later, and I lost a little bit of footage because I left the video paused, and all I've done is just tidied up the site a little bit. So I just desoldered some more stuff, cleaned up the pads and stuff like that. And I had to stop for a week because what I noticed was all of the little passive components from around the HDMI port were all missing, and we're also missing 3 of the 4 HDMI filter inductors. So I saw those and was like, okay, I'm going to need to figure out what those parts are and order spares. And after waiting ages for bits to come into stock, I now have everything I need to continue with this. So first thing I need to do is I didn't clean up the back of the board. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this junk solder here. So I'm going to do this by mixing in some fresh solder, and then I'm going to use my desoldering gun to just suck up all of this junk. And having shared some pictures around of this disaster, it is confirmed that it is plumber's flux that was on there. And it's, God knows what solder it is, but whatever. Either way, whoever was attempting this just really had no idea what they were doing. And the thing is I've got sympathy for someone who has a go and gets in way out of their depth. I'd be lying if I said that had never happened to me before. Given the tools they were using for this, that is kind of indicative of how underprepared they were. Now, when I butchered that PS4, I knew what I was doing, I just had no experience. Whoever was working on this didn't just have no experience, they didn't even know what they were doing. So I kind of don't have any sympathy for them, because they should never have attempted this. They should never have tried to take on a PS5 with this kind of level of soldering experience. And so, yeah. So because I know it's obviously going to be peak discussion in the comments for this, that's kind of my opinion on this, really. It's not that I'm angry that someone butchered a board. That happens, you know. But I'm angry that they actually attempted it, given their level of their demonstrable lack of knowledge, let alone experience. So, anyway, let's try and get the last of this solder out. I might have to get the hot air on this in a minute, so let's go fast for a bit. I was just sitting here thinking, given the tools and equipment they had on hand, how did they even get the first HDMI port off the board without just tearing up all the traces? And it suddenly occurred to me, I'm just like, maybe they had a blowtorch. And initially I was going to say that as a joke, but you know, that's not beyond the realms of possibility, considering they were using plumber's flux. Right, let's just tidy up some of these pads. I'm just going to roll some leaded solder over these, make sure they're okay. Yeah, those guys are all fine. Good. I'm a bit scared of those filter inductors. I have 4 of them. So I've got 3 replacements and I've got 1 mulligan in case I cock it up. Right, so missing components. Let's look at the missing components. We've got a couple of diodes to do as well, but the problem is I think I've screwed up my order on those diodes because one of the deliveries didn't come through, so I reordered it. However, I think I reordered the wrong one. So I think I've got loads of one of the diodes that we need and none of the other diode that I need. And the worst part is, I think the diode that I've got loads of is the one that's actually still on the back of the board that I was going to replace anyway. So, yeah, I might be stuck again. So I'm just going to start with what I definitely have, and that is these filter inductors. So let's just knock 3 of those out, leaving 1 in the packet. And let's have a look at these things. Do they have a right way up? They're extremely small. No, those look like they go either way up to me. So I've already just brushed a little bit of... I'll put a little bit more solder onto those pads, I think, just for good measure. Or if I just scrub that one in the middle, I think that will make me a little bit more happy. There we go. I'm happy that we've got some solder pillows on all of those now. Now I'm going to put down some flux, and then I'm going to come in with high heat, low airflow on this, because these things are just going to blow away, so I'm a little bit scared. And on that note, actually, I'm going to pick up 2 of them, and I've already dropped one. Okay, let's save the other 2. Well, this is why I was glad I'd have a spare. I'm just kind of annoyed that, like, I thought the real danger was going to be blowing them away. Oh, whatever. Alright, I've now got to get this right, so let's put 1 on the board. And let's come in at low airflow, high temperature, and I'm going to hold this in place while we heat. Or at the very least, I'm just going to guard it. Alright, that looks good. Alright, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. Number 2. Just for scale, that's my little finger. Ugh. That one's a bit more flux. I'll put some more flux down for the last one. Come on, I want all these guys to dance. Yeah. Cool. Oops. Oh. Damn it, I got shaky hand. Oh no, I got shaky hand. Put it all down. Put all the tools down. Oh. Ugh. Right. God, that was lucky. That almost went completely south then. Right, the one on the end didn't budge. The last original one. However, that means it's still on the board, so we're just going to leave that one alone. Right. So 1 on the left is fine. 2 needs realigning, and 3 rotated 90 degrees, so I need to fix that. All right. Okay, I think that's my filter inductors done. Right, next up on the missing parts that are easy to do, we've got a 27k resistor that's supposed to go over here, so I think my resistors are too big, but I'm gonna check. Oh, it's huge. Yeah, alright. Fine. Okay, I'm going to scratch away a little bit at that and just expand it. Okay. So we're going to get this guy lined up, and it's going to kind of just straddle across this a little bit. It just needs to dodge the ground plane. That'll do. And we'll just check that we're getting continuity across there. So we should see 27K from here to here. Yeah, lovely. Okay, I'm going to move across to some of the capacitors now. And this capacitor here should be a 100 nanofarad. I've tried measuring it in circuit and got no reading from it. But measuring in circuit is kind of sketchy. I don't trust this because it's been on the board and probably been cooked and all sorts. So I'm going to take this off and then I'll try and measure it out of circuit and see if it's okay. The problem is the only capacitors I've got are 0604s, which are these big boys. I should have got some other ones for capacitors, but every time I'm replacing capacitors like this, I'm just like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit big. But when you've got like 0201s or whatever this size is, you forget how small they are until you put a big boy next to it, and you're like, oh, that looks kind of dumb now. But either way, let's just politely ask this guy to move. And we'll see if it's any good. Oops, coming in with the wrong end of the tweezers there. This tip is too large for this bit. Oops, there we go, there's something. Oh, it's still there, it's on the tweezers. Alright. I don't think I'm reusing this, I'm just curious as to if it's actually good or not. 0.4 nanofarads? No, I think that's toast. If it wasn't toast before, it's definitely toast now. Get out of here. Okay, I tried fitting some of the spare capacitors I have, but they're all 0603s, sorry, 0604s, which are just too big for this, and I want to do this justice. So I'm stealing this 0402, I think it is, from a MacBook board, which is the correct size, and then I can put something on that isn't absurdly oversized. That resistor was a bit how you doing, and when I started trying to put other big stuff on, I'm like, this isn't gonna work, this isn't right. I'm probably going to take some heat for that resistor as it is, so. So a 100 nano is going to go there. And this one's kind of awkward. I'm considering not putting this on until after I've fitted the HDMI port, but I will get it all lined up and I will fix as I need to. So I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the ends of these. These pads are going to need to be tinned up when we put the port on anyway, so I'll just tin these up. Put some flux there. Blow all the flux away. There we go. That's that guy in place. I'm going to touch those as well, just to... Okay, now I need 100 picofarads, and the 100 picofarad is going to go there. So let me try and find one of those. Right, and we're stealing you. This one's 0201, so we're getting small now. Okay. Oops. Come on. Stay. There we go. Right, that's a ground plane there, and it's not going to want to go at low airflow, I don't think. Oh no, there it goes. Cool. Alright. That's our capacitors. Now on the back of the board there's another capacitor and another diode. However, those are present and they are visibly in good condition. So I'm confident that we're okay there. So the diodes, I bought two diodes. There's one that goes on the back and one that goes on the top here. The one that goes on the back is a 5.6 volt Zener. And the one that goes on the top is a high-speed switching diode. So it's a rectifier diode, but it needs to have a very fast recovery time. Now, I bought them both. One of them didn't show up, so I purchased again, and then that one got delivered. But upon inspecting what I've got now, I realized that I reordered the wrong one. And annoyingly, so the one that I've got like 11 of now, because I ordered a single one and then a pack of 10, is the one that goes on the back that I don't need. So, very frustratingly, after working up the courage to approach this thing again, I don't have the diode. So, but while I'm here and while we're getting stuff down, I'm going to try and put the port on, and then all we need is that diode to finish up with. So, let's see if I can thread this guy through here. And that diode is a decent distance away that I think I can do it separately. Right, I think I might need to do some more hole clearing, but I'm just going to see if I can push this through. So, hold on a moment. Yes, I have successfully pushed it through. So, now I'm going to try and solder those pins. Not very good at this bit, and I don't have a very good solder. And I don't have a very good iron tip for this. My J-tip is kind of crap, so I'm using this knife edge, which is a bit too big, but let's see how we go. Need to not sweep away that capacitor. Alright, that's not ideal. Let's see if it's good enough, though. Whoops. Cool. Cool. That one's no good. That one's no good. Alright. 2 pins to be redone. That's not too shabby. Okay, in an ideal world, I'd want more solder on those, but soldering pins like this isn't one of my strong points, and they are all soldered on, so I'm going to quit while I'm ahead and do the anchors. Alright, so we've got those soldered all the way down to the holes on both sides. And now I'm just going to flow the back one more time as well. There we go. There's no way those joints are dry. Okay, and that is our missing diode fitted. And as you can see, I've just nudged that resistor up a little bit as well, so that's not running the risk of touching that ground plane anymore. So this is all ready to put back into the case. Now, I'm sick and tired of the sight of this damn thing, so I'm not going to provide commentary on the reassembly. I do need to redo the liquid metal, so I'm going to clean this up and reapply it. I tend to reuse liquid metal, because there's a load of it still there. So what I will do is I will just basically pick all of that up, put it back on the die, spread it all out properly again. I'm not sure if this is sinful or not. However, so far I don't seem to have had any problems with it, and I've been doing testing along that front as well. So fingers crossed, seems to be okay as far as I'm concerned. If that's a mega crime, let me know in the comments. But like I said, over the PS5s I've done so far, and I've done quite a couple of these now, it hasn't seemed to have caused any problems so far as I can tell. Good. Right, we're going to go into fast-forwardy mode, and we'll get this thing put back together again. And maybe it'll work. We'll see. Okay, I've put enough of this together to give it a test now. So it's all assembled, all the screws are in the right place, except for this guy, where the screw is just missing. I have run out of screws. There were some missing or misplaced on this one though, so it's kind of inevitable. So yeah, one screw missing, but the rest are in and they're in the right place. It's not going to fall apart now. And also all of the gaps are closed up, so we don't have a gap around the HDMI port like there was previously either. So, I'm ready to ruin my afternoon. Actually, I'm ready to ruin my week by plugging this in and watching it just not work because it was probably dead the whole time. But let's find out. Okay, let's go. Right, well, it beeped and we've got a blue light. That's a start. And we have a signal. That's also a good start. Right, it's upset because it's had... repairing console storage. Okay, sure. It's had a lot of false starts, so it's not happy. So what we want to do, obviously, it looks like it's going to start, but we want to make sure that we actually get like a HD signal at 1080p kind of thing. However, the fact that we got a picture out of it, yeah, that's 1080p. This is a very good sign. I think we're good. I think we're WinRAR. Your PS5 wasn't turned off properly. Alright, I'm going to grab a controller and we'll just see what happens. Alright, Kaiba has his jacket back on. And this is all working just fine now. And on the monitor, if we just bring up the OSD, As you can see, that has auto-detected 1080p just fine. If this was coming up at like 800 by 600, 640 by 480, or even just 720p, then that would be of concern and we'd have to investigate it. However, that's all good to go. I'm actually quite amazed that there's nothing else wrong with this. Yeah, there was a dark thought at the back of my mind that I was just going to power it on and find that just everything was completely killed by just solder blobs across all the pins. Yeah, PS5 seems like it's pretty tough. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you all next time. Bye.